everyone, it's me, Mary or Hawk. Apologies if you hear anyone in the background, but I live with others and I can't really tune them out. I don't have soundproofing, but today's video is all about entheogen safety. I highly recommend you only watch this if you are 18 or older, because this is going to be concerning entheogens and or mind-altering or consciousness-altering substances. So again, if you are under the age of 18, please do not watch. I'm not limiting this to 18 or under, however, because I want people who are going to take these substances to do it safely no matter what age. I mean, like, ideally you're 18 or older, but if you're really going to take something, I want you to at least be safe about it. So, okay, what are these things that people need to keep in mind when it comes to entheogen safety? Well, there's quite a bit, actually, more than one might consider. And when I'm talking about entheogens, it could be in ointment form or topical, it could be in a smoke blend, it could be ground up mushroom in a tea, it could be tincture, or however you want to take your entheogen. Whatever you're taking, you're going to want to do so safely. You're going to want to have a good time, right? You're not here looking for a bad time, I'm assuming. So you're going to want to consider my advice very carefully, because I often see these bad trip reports on the internet that fearmonger certain substances like belladonna, like datura, which, yes, some of it is deserved, but also a lot of these people did not take safety into mind when consuming these substances, and often did so with reckless abandon, which led to a bad time. Okay, so what is my advice? So, number one, look into dose. Dose is important. Dose can determine whether you're going to have a good or a bad time. Remember, the poison is in the dose. So if you take too much of certain things, you could end up really harming yourself or even ending your life. So dosage is important. Less is more with most substances. See how it interacts with your body at a very low dose if you're going to take it, and work your way up as needed. If it doesn't interact well, do not continue. And if it does interact well, maybe continue. But again, be careful, because certain substances, the line between poison kill you and good time can be very blurred, especially depending on the dose. So that is something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, number two, is to look into reports of people taking the substance, and take note of what happened during people's bad trips. Were they around people who influenced them to be reckless? Were they getting in their car after taking the substance? Consider things like that. Take bad trips and the things that led to those bad trips happening as a note of what not to do when you take the substance. Number three is to look into any contraindications said substance or entheogen will or might have with any pharmaceutical medications you may take, such as SSRIs, blood thinners, pain meds. Doesn't matter. Look into every medication you take and how it interacts with the substance you're about to take, with the entheogen you're about to take, because you don't want to end your life. Even things like ayahuasca can have very dangerous interactions with things like SSRIs because of the uptake in serotonin syndrome to a deadly degree. So again, you want to be careful of what you're taking, when and how, and if it interacts with any of your medication. Likewise, look into any conditions you might have and how that interacts with that substance as well. Make sure that it won't exacerbate your medical conditions beforehand. Make sure it won't make your migraines worse. Make sure it won't make your anxiety worse. And obviously, if you're still going to take it, knowing that it might have an effect making your anxiety worse, take less. Less is more. Don't overdo it, because again, you want to have as little of those bad side effects as possible. Another thing is setting. So where are you taking this? Are you taking this when you're about to be on the road? Maybe don't. Don't drive under the influence. Are you taking this around people who tend to encourage you to do reckless and dangerous things? Maybe don't do it around them. Are you doing it at a party, or are you doing it in a ceremonial setting? Are you at an actual ayahuasca retreat in the Amazon? Or are you with a group of people you don't know very well? Yes, you may not know the people at the retreat very well, but are you around like a party scene? That makes a difference. Whether you are in a party scene or in a ceremonial setting, that does actually make a huge difference. Set and setting, time of day you're taking it, because that can influence how your body reacts to the substance in accordance to your circadian rhythm. That also is important. The dosage that you take is important. And sitters. Your sitter should ideally be sober. These are all very important components to having a better experience, including a sitter to help you if things go wrong and you require medical attention. This is why, like, when I take something, I make sure somebody is home. I make sure they're aware of what I'm taking. I'm saying, hey, I'm about to take this. This is what I'm taking. This is the dose I'm taking. This is when I'm taking. If things go wrong, please get help for me. those are all very important things to have in place so that you don't have a bad time. Likewise, do not take certain entheogens like belladonna or datura recklessly. Remember my note on dosages, because 10 berries of belladonna are the max amount needed to kill an adult. That's correct. 10 berries are enough to kill an adult and 4 are enough to kill a small child. So in this case, knowing that the leaves and roots after the berries have started to form are significantly less potent than the berries is an important thing to know of what part you're going to take, what dose you're going to take, and based on the growth phase. And you're better off consuming the dried leaves and or roots than you are the berries, because the berries are so much more potent. The plant is putting all its energy into making those berries, so the other parts of the plant are less potent considerably. You're going to have a better time with those parts in smaller doses than you would, say, a couple berries, because a couple berries could end your life. Likewise, I suggest you look into traditional preparations in addition to modern preparations of taking this substance, how people react, how people report having reacted to various different preparations of this, and allow that to try to influence you on the route you take so you can have the best experience possible. Because again, you don't want to have a bad time. I'm pretty sure we're going into this to have a good time, to have a consciousness altering time that is for our betterment, for a maybe expansion, growth, enlightenment, whatever reason you take it, just to have a good time. Like, people take it for all sorts of reasons, but generally for good reasons. So make sure that you're going to have a good experience as much as you possibly can before taking this. If you know that you've been dealing with a lot of like mental health issues like suicidal thoughts or ideation, it's important that you maybe not take something that's going to exacerbate those, that you know might make that worse, or you know that actually makes those feelings worse. Things like that is very important. Again, don't go driving while under the influence, no matter how much your body tells you to. Do not do it. The lives and safety of yourself and others are not worth putting at risk because you want to have a time on this substance. People's lives are worth more than the time you have, including your own, than the time you have necessarily on that substance. Just my hot take there, because honestly, people often do things very recklessly and then they're surprised when they have bad times, like, oh, this plant is horrible, don't touch it, when no, this all could have easily been prevented had they known the dosage, had they kept safety precautions in mind when taking this substance, so to ensure that they and themselves and others are safe when they have this substance in their system. And that's why I made this video, because I see so many trip reports about things like belladonna, things like datura, saying all these horrible things happen, and I'm like, well, I've been on belladonna, you've probably seen my trip report. If not, check my long form videos, it's in there, about belladonna. I had a beautiful experience, but not everyone has that experience because they don't know what they're getting themselves into. They're just looking to get elevated or high, and there's nothing wrong with looking to get high necessarily, but they're just looking to have an experience without realizing what experience they might have as a result of how that entheogen interacts with their body beforehand, or the biochemistry, or the medications they take. And all that is very exceptionally important. Safety is exceptionally important when it comes to these things, for your own sake at the very freaking least. Because you don't want to have bad time, like I keep repeating. Like, you don't want to have bad time. It doesn't have to be something as extreme as belladonna or datura or ayahuasca, but it could be something as simple as weed. Like, if you know it makes you anxious, if you know it makes your intrusive thoughts worse, don't take it. Don't take that strain especially. But like, it really depends on you and your biochemistry. Just know your body, know how things interact with you, and be willing to recognize that, hey, I'm going to take this risk. Here's what might happen, so you're prepared. Again, like, also, I would like to say this before I end, is that be prepared to unearth some things that are uncomfortable. A lot of these entheogens, be it ayahuasca, it could be belladonna, it could be LSA, morning glory, it could be any sort of thing. A lot of these things will facilitate healing, and healing and positive transformation does require discomfort. It will unearth traumatic events. It very likely will unearth some part of you that is wounded or traumatized. Be prepared for that to happen when you take a substance. It's not necessarily a bad time, but it's more giving your body and mind the chance to address these things in order to heal. And that is exceptionally important to know, because a lot of people go into this expecting, oh, I'm gonna see all these different colors and all these different beings, and little do they know, they're actually going to unearth their trauma. They're going to unearth some of their things that they need to heal, their shadow side. They're going to unearth some of that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually an opportunity to heal and grow because, the ego often resists the most necessary of changes, but it's through sitting with that discomfort and deconstructing it and deprogramming yourself that you can make the most profound positive changes and transformations. And a lot of these substances, a lot of these entheogens can facilitate that, but you need to be prepared for that ahead of time. Be prepared that, hey, I might, regardless of my intention, go into this experience and end up having to unearth and deal with my trauma and reckon with some uncomfortable things, some scary things, scary thoughts, scary feelings, uncomfortable thoughts. And it's going to be for my best and highest good that I deal with these things, whether in this intoxicated state or otherwise. Likewise, like journaling what you experience while you're under the influence to the degree that you can is also very important, so you can look back when you're sober and go, oh, this happened, yeah, like I now understand with a sober mind what this meant, this thing I experienced. And these things are very important. So to recap, look into dose, look into trip reports, look into any contraindications the substance may or will or might have with any pharmaceutical medications you're taking. Likewise, be aware of how it might exacerbate certain conditions of yours. Setting time, dose, and sitters are all very important. Do not take certain things recklessly, like belladonna. Look into traditional preparations and modern ones to see what is best for you. Do not drive while under the influence. Be prepared to unearth trauma. Keep the safety of yourself and others in mind at all times. And just be prepared for potential bad things to happen. Don't go in expecting, but be prepared. So when they do, you are more prepared to deal with those things than you would have been when it just blindsides you. So I hope this all made sense. I hope this was educational for you all. I'm sorry if this was too rambly, but this is Mary or Hawk signing out. Have a wonderful day and stay safe when you're taking any of these entheogens, please. Not only for others' sake, but your own. You don't want to have negatively permanent mind-altering effects or things that could end your life. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. I want you to have a good time. So this is Hawk or Mary signing out. Stay magical and be safe.